The thing about grief that most people don't understand is that we're really grieving losing control, that our identity is wrapped up into something outside of ourselves. And whenever we lose it, it brings on a lot of grief. When I was going through my deepest season of grief, I was feeling a huge loss of identity. I want to talk about grief. If you are a human being living in this world right now, you know that we've been experiencing a lot of heavy shit in the last 5 years. I started my grief journey, I think, from a very young age. Although I couldn't really identify that I was feeling grief at the time, I've experienced the experiences that we typically think of when it comes to grief, as far as like losing loved ones, people passing away. I've experienced loss of romantic relationships. I've experienced loss of friendships. I've experienced grief when it comes to maybe a certain career or business idea or business relationship that you have, maybe that you feel grief over losing like the excitement over that. I've gone through a lot of forms of grief. And 3 years ago, I experienced probably the heaviest form of grief I have ever experienced. And that was when I was told by a medical tech person that I was rapidly losing my vision. I have never experienced that form of grief before in my life. Yes, I've gone through really, really hard, dark times of grief, but I never thought that getting diagnosed with something was actually going to help me better understand what it feels like to go through grief. And if you've ever gone through grief, you understand that when you're going through it, it feels like absolutely no one understands what you're going through. And that's true. Nobody does know what you're going through. Regardless if somebody has also experienced losing a loved one, or regardless if somebody has also experienced losing a relationship that was important to them, or maybe somebody also have had to grieve maybe not having a relationship with a caretaker the way that they thought that they should. Regardless what it is that you're grieving right now, it is true that nobody knows what you're experiencing, even if they've experienced the same type of grief. And the reason why that is because none of us have the same upbringing. Nobody in this world has the same exact lived experiences that you have, and that's okay. A lot of times I think when we're experiencing grief, we do feel a sense of isolation. We feel like nobody gets it. And a lot of times when people are trying to be there for you, whenever they know that you're grieving, they do try to give you kind words and they try to resonate with you and make you feel like, you're not alone. But the truth is that we are typically alone in our grief. Nobody's going to have the same experiences as you, and that's okay. But on the flip side, when it comes to grief, what I have learned over all of the different versions of grief that I have experienced, all of us have felt grief at some point in time, no matter how it shows up. And a lot of times, the feelings, the emotions that we feel when it comes to grief are pretty similar feelings, regardless of what the situation is. Some of the steps that I have taken when it comes to my own grieving journey with all the different things that I've grieved over my life, I think that some of the steps that I have taken have actually helped me learn to move through that grief a little bit easier, and also have, dare I say, a little bit of gratitude for the experience of grief. When it comes to grief, a lot of times we want to do every single thing that we possibly can to not feel the feelings that come with grief. We distract ourselves. We maybe go shopping. Maybe we indulge in eating or drinking, or maybe we get really social at the time. So we constantly have people around us. Maybe we self-isolate. There's lots of different things that we can distract ourselves when it comes to grief, because we don't want to feel those big, scary feelings. And I personally think that in order to be able to move through life easier with less resistance, it's important for us to learn how to experience all of the different emotions that come with this human experience. Yes, we are going to experience times of like happiness, joy, excitement, love, passion. We're going to experience those, and those feelings are great. When it comes to being a human, a part of that human experience is also feeling the opposite. there's the opposite in everything. We have birth, we have death, we have night, we have day, we have light, we have darkness. We have literally the opposites come in everything. And so, yes, we have all of the warm, fuzzy feelings, but also in this human experience, why can't we learn to have gratitude for the heavy, dense, dark, prickly, uncomfortable feelings? And a part of that is grief. And so when I started to move through my biggest season of grief in my life 3 years ago, I did quite the opposite of what everyone was suggesting for me. Everybody wanted me to distract myself or feel motivation or feel inspiration that things were going to get better, or everyone wanted to try to like comfort me. But the truth is nobody understood what I was going through. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to mask how I was feeling. And even if I did want to, honestly, I was really going through it and I couldn't even go like 5 minutes without crying. And if you've ever gone through some really deep seasons of grief, you know what I'm talking about. So people that try to like encourage you to distract yourself, honestly, they're just trying to do the best they can. Most of us, all of us, we can only carry the emotions that we know how to carry. And so if you have people that are in your life that are trying to support you whenever you're going through a season of grief and they are encouraging you to distract yourself, just have compassion and grace for them, because that's all they know how to do. They only know how to distract themselves. And so when I started going through grief, I did the opposite of what everybody said. And I really sat with how I was feeling. And I want to encourage you, if you're watching this video, you probably have experienced grief in some form or fashion, or you're experiencing it right now. And I want to ask you, like, what is it that you are feeling in this season of grief? Even so much that I pulled up a list of words that potentially you could be feeling. And I want you to take out a journal. I want you to write down any of these words that resonate with you, or maybe they just like spark some sort of feeling in your body. Just write them down. Anger, shock, numbness, confusion, guilt, regret, longing, hopelessness, despair, loneliness, yearning, anxiety, overwhelm. You get the picture. So when it comes to grief, I want to invite you in this season of grief, dedicate 10 minutes of your day to sit down and pull out a journal and write down, which words am I feeling? You can even use ChatGPT, ask it, give me a list of words that have to do with grief. Write down the words that you're feeling. And I want you to actually identify, okay, if I'm feeling, let's say, anxiety, what am I feeling anxiety about? For me, in my deepest, darkest season of grief, I was feeling anxiety that I was going to lose my vision and no one was going to be able to take care of me, and I wasn't going to be able to take care of myself. That was one of the first things. When I was dealing with my biggest season of grief, I was also feeling a lot of shame. I was feeling shame around, like, what is my life going to look like now? What are people going to think about me? When I was going through my biggest season of grief, I was also feeling a sense of victimhood. My life is going to look in a way that nobody else could possibly understand. I am not going to get to live this full experience of life that I thought I was going to. When I was going through my deepest season of grief, I was feeling a huge loss of identity. And I think that's something that a lot of us feel, regardless if we're dealing with grief of like a loss of a person or a loss of a job, or maybe like dealing with like a health thing. A lot of us are realizing that our identity is wrapped up into something outside of ourselves. And whenever we lose it, it brings on a lot of grief. And so when it comes to dealing with grief, I actually encourage you, stop trying to distract yourself, actually really surrender to all of the feelings that you're feeling. So much so that you take 10 minutes out of your day to write down what you're feeling, the emotion that you're feeling, and then why you're feeling that emotion. Like if you're feeling fear, what are you scared about? If you are feeling longing, what are you longing for? Like take 10 minutes out of your day in this season of grief to really sit with and surrender to everything that you're feeling. And when it comes to grief, I think a lot of us actually begin to realize that we are actually grieving this idea that we have some sort of control, that we have control over who or what is in our lives, or that we have control over if something happens mysteriously to like our body or our health. Like, we are really dealing with the grief of losing control. And what I have found is that when it comes to grief, surrendering is the very first step. You don't need to distract yourself. You don't need to force yourself to like make everything better right now. You just need to surrender and get really curious about what it is that you're feeling and why you're feeling that. Like what types of stories come with like the fear, the longing, the victimhood, the bitterness, the anger, like what stories are you connecting to those feelings? That's the first thing. When it comes to grief, I also, even now, as you guys probably know, really believe in mind-body connection. And so a lot of the things that we do in yin yoga is actually like surrendering into poses. So I might, if I'm feeling a sense of grief that day, I may just sit in a pigeon pose for 5-10 minutes and just start to take notice about what feelings I'm feeling in my body. Am I holding my breath? Am I holding my shoulders really tight? Am I clenching in order for me not to fall deeper into the pose? Labeling the emotions and labeling the stories that are attached to those emotions, getting connected with my body. Everything is about the surrender. And when it comes to grief, the first step I think that we need to take is just surrendering to the fact that we've lost control. We have lost control over something in our life, and it's not because we were negligent. It's just because life happens like that sometimes. We don't have control over most things in this world. And quite honestly, that actually feels a little bit comforting to me now in this season of my life, that I realize I'm really just existing and I'm just being present. I don't have control over much. I came into this world alone, and I'm going to probably leave this world alone and without things, without anything. If you guys have seen that meme that says that it's like really ironic that we come into this world with nothing and we spend our whole life trying to chase and obtain and keep things in our lives, people, places, and things, and then we leave this life with nothing. If you've seen that meme, that's really a great depiction to me about how we really have no control over anything in this life. And so when it comes to grief, I just want to encourage you, the first thing you need to do is just surrender, get curious, like tap into your body, tap into your emotions, pull out a journal, even certain breath exercises, the simple practice of breathing in shallowly and then exhaling in a long form, like just sitting with yourself. Like I find myself in the grocery store sometimes, like just breathing in like maybe for 4 and exhaling maybe for 8. Taking some moments to breathe and just surrender to the fact that the only thing we really have like solid in this life is our breath. As we're all moving through this season, these years of grief, I just wanted to bring this video to you guys because I know personally what it feels like to go through grief. We're all going to experience it. And most of the feelings that we experience when it comes to grief are all really, really similar. So if you found this video helpful, please share this video with somebody that may need it. I also have linked my Substack where you'll get long form written emails from me. And then also I have linked my free Facebook group below. If you like this video, I hope I will see you in the next one.